Namaste, everyone. Welcome back to our Vedanta Life Academy, our Silmar version. We're here with Dr. Suhas, and we have got some things to cover. So let's just begin with the chant. If you know the chant, just chant along with me. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotir Gamaya Mrityur Ma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace to all beings everywhere. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Today, we're going to have a Q&A session with Dr. Suhas from our Silmar retreat. You may remember him. He gave the whole Ayurvedic presentation and Vedanta, such a wonderful presentation. So after we've had time to digest what he's said, what has come up for you, we encourage you to ask your questions. So before we begin, though, Dr. Suhas would like to give us a little bit of a short presentation on his latest book that's coming up and some other things that he's going to tie into Ayurveda. So without any further ado, Dr. Suhas, thank you so much again for making time out of your busy schedule to join us today.
Thank you, Swamiji, and always a great joy and pleasure to be with all of you. And I really, really enjoyed my time at Asilomar with all of you, and especially Swami Sarvapriyanandji, Divyananda Pranaji, um, Geeta Pranaji, Sarvadevanandji, and of course, all of you. It was a memorable experience, and every talk, every meditation was an enriching experience. So once again, my heartfelt gratitude for putting it all together and the entire team for the retreat to make it more and more successful, to give a memorable experience for everyone who participated in that. Having said that, I think it is important and timely for me to go back to my own tradition before I present you with anything. So let's get centered. I know we are all coming around from our busy days and at the end of the day, wherever you are in the world, I would say. But settle down, take a nice deep breath, gently be aware where we are so that we can allow the information to sink in, which can become knowledge soon. Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmad Acharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Yasya Nishvasitam Vedaha Vedebhyo Akhilam Jagat Nirmame Tamaham Vande Vidya Tirtha Maheshwaram. My new book, which is about to be released tomorrow. We are super busy, super excited about this very unique topic of the book that I want to share. I won't take a whole lot of time with all of you, but it's a good idea for us to start the discussion with a thread of wholeness. The book that is coming out, and I actually posted a little link on the chat box here. So Vani, if you can make sure that everybody gets that link. This book is about to be released tomorrow, and Awakened Sleep is a Vedantic perspective on quality of sleep. Because we all know that very clearly from Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Ya Nisha Sarva Bhutanam Tasya Jagrati Sanyami Yasyam Jagrati Bhutani Sa Nisha Pashyate Mune. So when we say awakened sleep, the three states of sleep, which is Jagruti, Swapna, and Sushupti, what all beings considered as day is the night of the ignorance for the wise, and what all creatures considered as night is the day for the fully awake introspective sage. So these three states, can they be transcended into the fourth state of consciousness? Can we ever be freed from these states of sleeping, dreaming, and awake state? One of the most revered Upanishad is Mandukya Upanishad. And it is said that only Mandukya Upanishad is good enough for you to attain enlightenment if you really understand it. And I think the very essence of that Upanishad is understanding that these three states are related with the three states of awareness, or the Trivid Shariram, as we described in Ayurveda: the Sthula Sharir, the Sukshma Sharir, and the Karan Sharir. The Sthula Sharir, Sukshma Sharir, and Karan Sharir. Sthula Sharir can be state connected with the state of Jagrut Avastha, where you are awake, you are experiencing everything, you're perceiving everything, where there's a difference between you as a seer and what is being seen. That's number one. The second state, where only you can understand. The Sthula Sharir, you cannot really understand yourself. It is someone else to see, look, understand, feel, touch, maybe send a sample to the lab. But your Sukshma Sharir, which is correlated with the Swapnavastha, is related with your internal state, which is a subtle state of your body related with mind, feeling, thoughts, emotions. So the Sthula Sharir is correlated with Bahipradnya. It is maybe an outward drawn awareness or intellect, if you may say. And Sukshma Sharir is more like Antar Pradnya, which is an inner state of knowing. The outer state, Sthula Sharir, is Vaishvanara. The Sukshma Sharir is more like Tejas Avastha, as Mandukya describes it. And the more important is the Karan Sharir, which is Sushupti, which is the deep state of your sleep, is the closest state that you can get to the deeper states of meditation. And I think that is the only time when your senses are completely withdrawn, your mind has gone to a state of rest, and you are able to attain a witnessing state of your sleep. And that is what we call it as sarvadnya, a state of antaryami, a state of self-realization of who you are. And if you want to take your meditation practice with you to your bed in the night to go to sleep, I think that is the very premise of this book called as Awakened Sleep. If you're meditating regularly and you cultivate a practice that you're going to go to sleep in an awakened state, that's when you attain that fourth state, which is the Turiya state. And that Turiya state, which is correlated with transcendental state of consciousness. It is a conscious, dreamless witnessing mode of your sleep. Is it even possible for you to watch yourself being asleep? Is it possible for you to connect with the field of all possibilities, with the field of pure potentiality in your state where you're transcending deep sleep and connecting with that? So one of the purpose of awakened sleep is how can you convert the tamasic, dull, inertia nature of the sleep to an awakened state of sleep? Because sattva, rajas, tamas are pretty familiar words for all of you. So sattva is more prakashamayatvam. So it sheds light, illuminates. And sleep is like lamp at the door, which allows you to see your inner as well as outer reflection together. And I think interestingly, we often hear as this concept of sleep and awakened sleep as yoga nidra, but it is slightly different, because when we look at how and when the yoga nidra was described, it was maybe Brahma requested Yoga Maya to awaken Vishnu from his slumber after pralaya, after the dissolution of the universe, and wanting to wake him up from that slumber for the creation, for the universe. So taking him from pralaya to utpatti, from the state of dissolution or destruction that Shiva had already done, to the state of reconstruction, I would say. So the gap, which is between sleep and awakening, which is from dusk to dawn, from Nisha to Usha, from Tamas to Sattva. And if it is possible to take and improve your sleep hygiene, it is much more complex than dim your light, stay away from blue light, keep the bedroom dark and cool. All of those things are important from a medical perspective. And we have described enough things. Myself and Dr. Sheila Patel have described all these things in the book. But what we have described is the correlation, the Vedantic connection of everything that we have described in the book, because these three states of consciousness are related with the three states of Om in Mandukya Upanishad. Is that right? And correct me if I'm wrong, Swamiji, U, and Ma are the three states of Omkara. And they are important. They are correlated with Sthul, Sukshma, Karan, Sharir. They are correlated with Jagruti, Swapna, Sushupti, and so many things. So many things that we talk about from the Trinity perspective. But I think the Ardhamatra in the Om, which is the Anuswara, which is the Yogamaya, which is the goddess, the Prakriti, the Shakti, which actually gives the Shakti of Om. So Ardhamatra, Sthita Nitya, Yanucharya Visheshta. Anucharya Visheshta. It simply means that you have to pronounce it very subtly in order to feel the Shakti and the vibrations in Om itself. So Yogamaya is the goddess which is behind the creation. It is the goddess of sleep. The spiritual significance of Yogamaya is the goddess that we correlate for illusion as well as creative energy. It is also the goddess of illusion as well as revelation, both. And so we understand that Yogamaya is the divine power, is the womb of all creation, associated with the creation and the creative potential of the entire universe itself. And from a metaphysical perspective, we understand that what we see in the world, what meets our eyes, is 100% not real. And that is Maya, that is Mahamaya, as we call it. And understanding the difference between what is real, what is perception, and how do you actually able to find your divinity within the cosmic dance of reality that is happening around you. So Nidra Devi, the goddess of sleep, is bringing you to the closest realization of your own self. According to Markandeya Purana, Nidra Devi and Yogamaya are more or less the same. They are both related to illusion, altered state of consciousness, and allowing you to understand the interface between the real and the unreal. So the Ratri Suktam, the Devi Mahatmyam, all the hymns of goddesses that you want to listen and understand, they all talk about praises of goddess and the divine energy. We often hear this from Durga Saptashati, Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Nidra Rupena Samsthita. Namastasya, 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 Namo Namah. But importantly, that not only sleep is related with the divinity, but it is also related with Buddhi, Medha, Smriti, Kshama, Kshanti. All of those are feminine, divine adjectives that we often use. And this is a very powerful way to understand. If you go to sleep listening to Ratri Sukta or perfecting your meditation in your sleep, your dreaming patterns, your lucid dreaming patterns, and your ability to manifest all the physical benefits of sleep becomes doubled. Mahavidya, your ability to learn and assimilate knowledge becomes better. Mahamaya, your ability to dispel the illusory veil becomes much more easy and effortless. Mahameda, great intellect. Mahasmriti. And when you read all these things, it sounds poetic, but these are all known medical benefits of sleep. And just opposite to that will be sleep deprivation. So understanding that the quality and the value of the sleep that we do is helping us to really understand. And all these divine qualities, Buddhir, Bodh, Lakshana, Lajja, Pushti, Shanti, which is so important, peace, the most important quality, and peace and non-violence, Ahimsa and Shanti, those are two common parallels or synonyms we often use in Vedic terms itself. And one of the greatest epidemic that we see in the world is of inflammation. Inflammation of hostile tendency, hostile minds taking over the world, all of that. The hostilities are just a matter where it becomes a neuroinflammation in your body and creates multitudes of problems that we often see. So again, I just wanted to bring your awareness to the quality of the sleep. The purpose of sleep as a miracle drug is very, very important. I would welcome all of you to use this link that I have posted in the text box here, and we can freely create a special webinar just about the Vedantic perspective on sleep, and we can go into great details. But I just wanted to take a few minutes from Swamiji to talk about the upcoming book, which is to be released tomorrow. We are also doing a special webinar with Dr. Sheila Patel tomorrow. So if you are able to go and purchase the book on Amazon and upload your receipt, you'll be able to join that free webinar that is happening tomorrow at 2 p.m. PST, Pacific Standard Time. So please use the link, see if you can help and support this wonderful book, which is already becoming very popular. But more importantly, it's sleeping your way to perfect health. We wish you all the best and hope that the sleep improves your ability to be awakened and enlightened. Thank you. So I will pass on the mic to either Vani or Subir, and happy to answer the questions. We did talk about so many things in so many different talks during the retreat, and I'm curious to see the feedback and anything that you might have applied to your day-to-day living, I would say.
So, first of all, thank you, Dr. Suhas. You've given a different perspective to me on this, on the Devi Mahatmyam and Brahma's prayer to Mahamaya. And so I never thought of Mother awakening Vishnu in this way and what the effects of the sleep are. So it's really interesting. I thank you so much. Really different perspective on the Chandi there. Okay, so in the meantime, if anybody has questions, just raise your hands or comments about our talks. Subir, can you tell them where to go in case they don't know how to raise their hand?
Sure. You'll have to go to your more options at the bottom, the tools, and you'll find a place to raise your hand.
Dr. Suhas, while they're doing this, I'm just curious. So in this book here, what are some of the other aspects that you speak about? I like the Vedanta connection with the sleep. In the table of contents, in other words, what other aspects do you talk about in this book?
I think what is unique is that we are barely understanding the value of sleep. Means it has been a complete turn of events where maybe a decade ago we used to talk about in medicine that when you have nothing else to do, what you do is sleep. As long as you get any 5, 6, 7 hours of sleep at any time, then you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
To a complete change where chronobiologically we understand that sleeping is important. When you sleep is even more important, and you should be asleep between 11 to 6 a.m., 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. You should be deep asleep during that time, where all the body carries out numerous physiological functions in your deep sleep, including your brain, to create a glymphatic cleansing that happens in the night itself. So we have mentioned all the latest research because modern science stops at the stages of sleep. They don't know anything more than that. They talk about REM sleep, non-REM sleep. They talk about deep sleep. They talk about light or superficial sleep. They connect the electrodes to your brain. But we know consciousness is not in the brain. We know that when you sleep, you're not in your body. Even though your mind is embodied, you're not in your body itself. So when it's the funny thing is that we do a dress rehearsal of dying almost every night. We go to the same place where we are long gone at some point. Okay. So we still experience that stage where we leave the edges and the boundaries of the physical body, which we try so hard in all our meditations all day long, to leave the edges and the boundary and the transcend of the ego and get out of the clutches of your sensory experiences, slip into the gap in between the thoughts. We try all day long. But that doesn't happen during the day as easily until and unless you're a seasoned meditator, but happens effortlessly in your sleep. Even Shankaracharya said that yoga nidra in a state of a yogic sleep is like nirvikalpa samadhi. In Yoga Taravali, it's a clear statement and such an enlightened statement to really understand. And when Ayurveda sing praises of this, Nidrayattam sukham dukkham pushti karsha balabalam vrushata klibata jnanam ajnanam jivitam nacha. So your state of happiness, unhappiness, sukham, dukkham, it depends upon sleep. Pushti karsha, whether you'll be overweight, underweight, weak, emaciated, depends upon sleep. Whether you'll be strong or weak, physically and mentally, depends upon sleep. Balabalam. Vrishata klibata jnanam, whether you'll be sexually potent, vital, youthful, energetic, depends upon sleep, including jnanam, ajnanam. Whether you will be capable of retaining information, have a sense of knowledge, ability to decode and see through the lines and the teachings, or you will remain in a state of ignorance and ajnanam. And to the height of it, jivitam nacha, whether your life and death depends upon sleep. To make these bold comments at that time, according to Charak Samhita, is something, and every word of this is validated by the modern science. And that's the reason the fusion of this book is so important. Dr. Sheila brings the medical perspective, and I bring the Ayurvedic and the Vedic and the Vedantic perspective of this, which helps us understand that, for example, Ayurveda talks about Nidra as a Vega, as an urge. Okay, as a you have an urge to be thirsty, Trishna. Kshuddha, hunger is a urge, is an urge. So sleep is an urge. If
Right.
you go hungry for a few days, your body cannot force yourselves to eat. But if you go few days without sleeping, it will make you sleep. It will force you sleep. So I think there's something unique about sleep, which is the most efficient way to improve your health. And it is the pillar of health. Is that right? Trayopastamba. In Ayurveda, we say ahara, nidra, brahmacharyam, trayopastamba. So the pillar, brahmacharya doesn't only mean celibacy. Brahmacharya simply means following a lifestyle, which is understanding Brahman with the realization of Brahman, with the realization of your own divinity, living a life, an awakened life. So brahmacharya, ahar, and nidra are the pillars. Can you imagine the tripod of life, which resets and creates order from the all chaos in your life? It has capacity to self-regulate, renew, and invoke your inner intelligence, renewal and repair, boosting your immunity, cataloging and improving your cognition and memory, unconscious processing that you're unable to do during the day because your sensory faculties, you're able to do all of that in your deep sleep. So many inventions happen in deep sleep. The periodic table of Mendeleev was conceived in deep sleep. The double helix structure of DNA was conceived in deep sleep. The benzene ring was conceived.
Is this the processing of one's unconscious,
Was
Dr.
that?
Is this a processing that's going on, say, of one's unconscious?
It is a state when your senses are not doing anything. It is a state where you're bordering between your intellect with cosmic intellect, your individual consciousness with cosmic consciousness. It is the real source of creativity. It is the real source of creativity. So when you are exhausted and tired, and Ayurveda says that yadatu manasi klante karmatmanam klamanvita vishayebhyo vinivartante tada swapati manava. When your senses are exhausted, they can't really configure, do more equations and do reconfiguring at all. They're exhausted. You go to sleep on that, and aha, it comes like a creative awakening. People have woken up in deep sleep and written down and gone back to sleep. So numerous examples, prophetic dreams, so many things that you see and feel because your senses are withdrawn. You're bordering between a state of what we call it as a conscious dreamless sleep, where there's a dream, there's an awakening, but there's a processing, which is a quantum leap of creativity. And I think you're solidifying what you're learning, you're processing in an unconscious manner where your senses are not doing anything. And that state of non-local being in that state of sleep is what we are talking about here, which is the birthplace of creativity.
Yeah. Beautiful. Wow. Okay, so there's some questions. I have also some follow-up questions, but I think Vani was first. She was raising her hand, then we'll have Fairy. So, Subir, can you unmute Vani first? She had
Yeah.
her hand up, I know.
And I think Vani is important because the Shakti of the Vani, the speech, is also the goddess, the creation, the Saraswati, and the Shakti in the speech and the Matrika, as we say, is also related with the goddess, as we're talking about. So the divine feminine energy that we talk about is also coming from here. So the all the stages of speech that we talk about, para, pashyanti, madhyama, and vaikhari, are related with the goddess. So this ardhamatra that we talk about, the sound and the swara and the shakti in the words and the speech all come from the goddess.
We'll let the goddess speak.
Dr.
Thank,
Suhas, you want to stop the share? Or you
Oh,
want to keep that? Yeah.
okay, I can do that.
yeah. So thank you, Dr. Suhas. So, um, we hear this after big events like, our retreat, that we all feel good in the moment when we're all together. And then a day or two later, a week or two later, and now we're talking a few months later, we find that we struggle to incorporate things into our daily practice or into our daily lives. So, in your experience with what you shared with us at the retreat, can you give us one or two practical things that we can incorporate from the retreat that will keep that energy going and make us feel motivated?
Well, yes, it is important that you participate in your own health and well being. And there is no spiritual growth possible with your body not feeling good. And that's the punchline. So if at all you want to achieve anything in life, you have to work on your physical health. And the best place to start is to clean up your diet to the best of your ability. I understand that people want to be eating a plant-based diet, vegetarian diet, but I know so many vegetarians who do not eat any vegetables. It's only a grain based diet, it's only a flour based diet, it's only a dairy based diet. So you want to make sure that plant based diet is something that you're eating healthy servings of vegetables mostly and small amounts of fruits on a daily basis, good quality whole grains and nuts and seeds, and some good quality lentils that are more sattvic in nature. So if you clean up your diet, that's easily doable. And I think paying attention to your diet, what goes in your body as nutrition, is important. The second part is exercise and movement. We can't talk enough about it because I think what is important is many times on the spiritual path, we think that I have no time for anything else, so I can't really go and do any workout or do any sports or do any physical activity, but that is equally important. So, from an Ayurvedic perspective, improving circulation, developing good bone strength, muscle strength, flexibility, all of that reverses aging process. And I think the again, sorry to mention and pitch in my book over and over again, but one of the most influential thing that affects your night sleep is your daytime exposure to sunlight. Enough scientific research published about it. So how much you're exposed to sunlight during the day will decide the quality of your sleep. So spending time outdoors, forest bathing, biophilia, all of that is. So Vani, you're absolutely right. Paying attention to diet, paying attention to exercise, and more importantly, telling yourself that all of these things you're participating in your own health. Self-care rituals is not a waste of time. It's not indulging into a luxurious routine of some kind. Doing your own oil massage is important. Going to sleep, for God's sake, at the right time is important, where you prioritize and you tell, this is what I need to do. So at the end of the day, the difference is prayers is something what is liked by your sensory organs, which is not always good for you. But Shreyas is a concept where your senses may not like it to start with, but over a period of time, they would start liking it. Eventually, it is good for your body. So converting Shreyas into prayers, which is liked by your senses, and you can do it slowly and steadily. And everyone who I met at the retreat are definitely on the path. You do have few baby steps. And when we are in a group consciousness, we are all supported by each other. But when we go onto our own individual island, we feel that we don't have the support. But we have the support within ourselves. And that knowledge, that reinforcement, that what we are doing as a health conscious choice, what is good for me, and it makes me feel good, is something that you can keep on doing. And that alone will motivate you on this path.
So thank
I
you,
hope
Dr.
that makes
Suhas.
sense.
It's so important that we remember that we have to take care of the body so that we can actually improve in our spiritual practice. So thank you so much for those reminders.
Thank
Swamiji,
you.
next.
Dr.
I think-
Suhas, can you, we want to see your darshan. Can you remove these shares so we can see you, spotlight
Oh,
you?
yeah.
Yeah, and then Ferry, go ahead and unmute. And if you can, if you, we'd like to see the rupa as long with the voice. So Ferry, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hey, hello everyone. Hi, Dr. Suhas. This is Ferry from Toronto. Nice to see you again.
Hi,
And
Ferry.
thank you so much. I want to personally thank you for your help with your inspiration during our session, as well as from the retreat, of course. And congratulations on your new book. Definitely, I'll get a copy. It would be a blessing to read your work. I'm looking forward to it. I have two quick questions. The first one is you mentioned the lamp by the bedroom door. Do you mind elaborating a little bit? How does it guard the bedroom and also look from outside, if you don't mind? The second
Mhm.
question that I had was I know you mentioned a lot of practices, including the oil massage before bedtime, and perhaps more in your new book. But I wonder because I usually read a few pages of whatever book before I go to bed, like when I'm laying around just in bed, and I like to do some relaxation for better sleep. Would you have anything else that you would recommend us to do for better sleep? Perhaps from are you Vedic or Vedantic perspective? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ferry. And I really enjoyed our session together. So that was nice. What I meant by lamp at the door has nothing to do with your bedroom. Okay. It's a Vedic analogy of understanding when you put a little lamp at the door, then you illuminate the room inside and outside both. So you shed that light, and it's a nyaya. It's a nyaya called as Dehali Deepak Nyaya. So when you put the Deepak on the Dehali, on the bridge of the door frame itself, it illuminates the inside and the outside room. So that was the concept. So make sure you don't keep any lamp at your bedroom door. Okay. You ideally close the bedroom door shut and keep the bedroom nice and cool and dark as much as possible. The second part to your question was about the practices that you do. So we have mentioned an excellent meditation about recapitulation of the day, the scanning of the senses technique, maybe a meditation based upon what kind of a sleeper type are you, whether you are a Vata type, Pitta type, Kapha type. We have mentioned certain mantra practices that you can engage yourself into a mantra meditation before you go to sleep. But you're absolutely right. A little oil massage in the evening, a very gentle coconut oil, sesame oil, or any herbal oil massage, and a hot shower or a hot bath relaxes and calms the entire nervous system and prepares an excellent environment for sleep. And if you're reading a heavy book, maybe a very deeply coded Vedanta book or something like that, which is very difficult to understand, and you scan few pages and read that, you will sleep like a baby. Because if it is a very intellectually stimulant information that you share, it haunts you all night long. If you're watching a violent movie, if you're watching something super exciting, if you're watching what other people are doing on social media, anything that stirs you up doesn't allow you to sleep peacefully. So I think keeping the blue light away from your bedroom is a good idea. Leaving the phone in a different room is a good idea. And more importantly, reading something which is more spiritual and difficult is also helpful for your sleep. having affirmations at bedtime of something. Because one of the things that I mentioned in that book was clear the weeds and plant the seeds. So you want to clear the weeds that are going on in your mind, in your senses, in your emotional state before you go to sleep, and then plant some seeds that you want to manifest, whether it's a new job, whether it's a relationship, whether it is anything that you want to manifest. You clear the weeds and you plant the seeds, and you will see these things sprouting in your life from the day onwards. So good luck with your sleep. And you can take this state of awake and sleep, which is 100% portable, wherever you go, however you travel, even few minutes of nap in the middle of the day, micro sleeping with the state is also very effective.
Dr. Suhas, just to piggyback off her question, what happens when you find yourself waking up like at the end of the Vata cycle, like it's around 2 p.m., 2 a.m. at night? Sometimes you get in this habit of waking around between 1 to 2 a.m. How do you suggest you go back into sleep?
Usually, Vata people have hard time falling asleep, and Pitta people have uh, they fall asleep okay, but they wake up in the wee hours. So many times it's your mind that is waking up at that time that is making them awake at that time. So one of the quick way of remedy, usually it's a Pitta state of imbalance, so the body is getting much warmer. And I usually tell these people to soak your feet in a bucket of cold water before you go to sleep, or sit at the edge of a bathtub and rinse your feet with cold water so that it pulls all the heat from your head to the toe. Tap your feet dry and go to sleep, and you won't be able to wake up in the middle of the night for any reason. And if you wake up, take few sips of water, go back to your mantra meditation practice, and you will be able to go back to sleep immediately. There's also a technique in the book that we mentioned called as neuroassociative correlation. It's a very fancy medical term, but what it simply means is you train a habit of doing something that trains your mind to do. For example, we mentioned in the book that you keep a peppermint oil to your bed, near your bedstand, and you sniff peppermint oil and go to sleep. And now you're training that after you sniff it, you are able to fall asleep. And in case if you wake up in the middle of the night, you just take a couple of sniffs and you will be able to fall back asleep. You have created a neuroassociative memory of creating a habit that immediately the body knows, like the Pavlov's dog experiment that we know when you ring the bell, it starts salivating. It's immediately you can do that. And you can do that with peppermint oil or anything else that you like. But it's a simple way. So in the night, the body gets warm. You throw away the covers and everything, you feel a little bit more warm and flush. So if you maintain the temperature cooler and you rinse your feet, because feet is the seat of pitta. Soles of the feet is the seat of pitta. So keeping it cool. Many people try sleeping with socks and everything, and it's okay to fall asleep, but then it gets very warm because of those socks in the night and you can't sleep.
So it sounds like there's a preparation stage before you enter the state of sleep. Just like when we do puja, there's a lot of preparation before. So in this way, also, we should not take it for granted. In other words,
Well, sleep hygiene. Sleep hygiene is so important because it's a drill. And from an Ayurvedic perspective, you hear the word dinacharya, daily routine, quite often. But you don't hear the word ratricharya, which is the nightly routine, that often. So they have mentioned equally dinacharya and ratricharya, what you should be doing an hour before you go to sleep, because that is the true investment. That is what you do at that time will decide the course of your sleep in the night.
Thank you. Eva, go ahead.
Eva, we can't hear you.
Sorry. Yeah, namaste. Yeah, I wanted to ask you about you did the Vedic astrology. So my question is the link between the Vedic astrology, sadhana, and free will.
It's an excellent question, because at the end of the thing, when I gave that talk, I told you that astrology, planets, karma bug you, bother you a lot when you're in a state of ignorance. You are in the thick field of Maya. And one of the purpose of astrology is not to change your karma a whole lot or suddenly take something away and give you something different, but creating a state of awakened reality. It's almost a state that you are aligning yourself with your dharma and your karma together. So the purpose of astrology is not changing anything, but improving your sadhana, deepening your practice, understanding that the experience that you are feeling good or bad about, none of them is real anyway. Taking you from the grasp of Kala and leading you towards Mahakala, from a time-bound awareness to a state of timelessness, is the purpose of Jyotish and astrology. And there are many astrologers who incite fears and tells that you need this gemstone and you would need this puja or thing. They are, to a certain extent, they might be helpful, but they might be creating even a deeper layer of fear unconsciously in you. Because at the end of the day, those planets are there, they are revolving in their own orbits, whatever they are doing. We are personifying them. Okay, we are personifying them, giving them qualities and understanding the impact and decoding your own transpersonal psychology, where you can't change your parents, but you can change your epigenetic environment. You can do your satsanga, you can find your tribe, you can find your group, and you can slowly improve the choices that you're making. And that is the fusion of yoga, Ayurveda, Jyotish altogether. And that's the essence of Vedic counseling. Thank you. Great question, Eva.
Thank you.
Dennis?
Hi, Dr. Suhas. You can hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear, Dennis. Go
Oh,
ahead.
thank you. I'll get to my question. You spoke about how different parts of the body, like the tongue and the ear, I think there was a series of connections, different places on the body related to different senses, I think. And I was interested in that. I was wondering if in which of your books I could read to learn more about that.
It's called as Pancha Panchikaranaha. So the correlations of the 5 Mahabhutas, Pancha Mahabhutas, with 5 sensory organs. Is that right? That far you know about it, that the space or akasha is related with sound. Then fire is related with eyesight or vision. So there are 5 sensory organs correlated with 5 Mahabhutas. So 5 Mahabhutas are also correlated with 5 Tanmatras, which are the qualias of the Mahabhutas. So one is the quanta of the Mahabhutas and the qualias of Tanmatras. It's also the subtle qualities of sound, sight, touch, taste, smell. Those are the subtle qualities of each Mahabhuta, correlated with 5 sensory organs. And each sensory organ is correlated with a motor organ. Like the sense of ear or sensation of hearing is correlated with tongue and the motor organ of speech. So listening and speaking together can create a very healing modality. So if you go on a silent retreat, that Swamiji Sarvapriyananji took us on a silent walk, and he told us at the end of that walk that because you're not talking, you're just watching more, your sense becomes much more awake and you're able to pay attention to more minute details of everything else. So when you don't speak and when you are able to increase your ability of shruti, which is sensation of hearing, and you are able to observe silence, it enhances the ability. So like touch is to do with hands. So using your hands as seva, as a selfless service, increases the ability for you to see things and perceive things in between what meets your eyes. Same with your feet, related with the sensation of the sight. Hands, tongue, taste, urogenital system, anal opening, they are all one-on-one correlated with everything else. And There's a list in my Vedic counseling book, The Art and Science of Vedic Counseling. There's a beautiful table which depicts all of these charts and everything. And if you don't find it there, send me an email. I'll be more than happy to send you a write-up. I wrote a
Thank
blog
you.
on this topic, which would be very good. And the very basis of Panchakarma therapy, I don't know if any one of you have done Panchakarma therapy, is exactly like this. So you're putting drops in the nose, you're putting drops in the eyes, you're putting drops in the ears, you're giving enemas, you're doing body massage where the skin is absorbing the oil. So technically all the sensomotor organs with your hands and feet and all the openings in the body are saturated with the herbalized intelligence with oil. And slowly you are able to detox and release pent up impurities that are stuck in the physical body as well as your subtle body.
Thank you. Is speaking of the subtle body, does the third eye or the agnu, does that have a corresponding motor?
Yes, means those are visible and invisible. So all the 6 chakras that are related with these panchakarnas, with all the elements and with all the sensory faculties, the chakras can be one-on-one correlated. Also, the information is in the book, beautiful
I will
chart
get the book.
which depicts about it. Also, it correlates with the nature of the planets. Like Saturn has to do with the root center, the deity, variety of different things. So Vedic information is a way to synergize energy. It's all about energy, is that right? Whether you talk about Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, whether you talk about Jupiter, Saturn, whether you talk about this nakshatra or that nakshatra, it's all energy. We are trying to correlate that with the name and form. The Nama and Rupa is the form of the energy that we are describing here. The form and phenomenon, which is Prakriti, the innate nature of the energy. And we change the energy, we change the matter to a certain extent.
Thank you. I will give someone else a chance. That was very helpful. I will get that book. And if I have any further questions, I'll send you an email.
Please let me know, Dennis. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Sabrina, go ahead.
Oh, that's me. Hi. I was actually, my question was about energy. And are there ways to reduce the energy down to as little as possible? Like to just neutralize it entirely? Are there tiny little things that we can do across a day when we just need to I find meditation does that for me. Like it does everything, but um, sometimes it's not fast enough. So, are there ways to sort of calm the energy down, cool it down very quickly um, in a moment in time?
So you're talking about energy in a different context where all the buzz that makes you feel run around and chase and do a lot of things and that you feel in the body that too many things are happening. That's what you're talking about. So I think
Mm.
consciously slowing down is one of the greatest way. That's why meditation helps you slow down and feel regulation of the energy.
Or
Um,
it's more of like a heat, like in a moment, in a moment. So not across, I mean, certainly across the day, but like if, for example, there is something that is, for whatever reason, like a triggering situation, how do you, in an instant, instantaneously, slow the flow of energy so that you can decide, like, are there Ayurvedic techniques to, um, yeah, when experiencing a very uniquely difficult situation that sort of takes you by surprise, how do you sort of stop the energy from sort of moving in one direction or another? Are there any techniques for that that Ayurvedic science can help with?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because you're correlating energy with a sensation of heat or warmth that create that buzz and that movement. And you mentioned meditation, but I often tell my patients to use an acronym called as STOP, STOP.
Mhm.
So S simply means stop, T means take 3 deep breaths. So just stop and take 3 deep breaths. Breathe in, hold it for a second or two inside, and then breathe out. then
Mhm.
another one, then another one. And then observe how you feel and then proceed. So S stands for stop, T stands for take 3 deep breaths, O stands for observing and proceeding. It literally takes less than a minute to do this. But if you do that, you can do that in a boardroom, whether you are in the middle of the meeting, you're stopping at a stoplight, you can do that. You can immediately convert the nature. The second is the sensory experience. You go to the wash basin and sprinkle your face with cool water. Immediately with the sensation of the cool water on your sensory abode on your face, cools everything down. We often, when we go to the temple, any temple, usually you have to wash your feet and gargle some water in your mouth and spit it out. So the purpose is not only to cleanse, but also to cool down. The heat, the intensity, the drive, the passion, everything cools down instantly as you wash your feet with cool water. And there are patients that I have told many times during the day, take out your socks, rinse your feet, and tap them dry, put it back, and they immediately feel the difference. I jokingly tell them, for a fast-acting relief, try slowing down. So looking at a green patch outside your window that you're working for a few seconds changes the nature of the expression of heat and inflammation in your body. Even that glimpse to a greenery can change how you feel at a given time. Even a short spell of a music that you enjoy. Okay, it could be a 30-second clip that you listen to. I'm talking about sensory experience, which recalibrates the nature of your mind, which creates the perception of the fast pace. So if you consciously listen, slowing down the pace is something what is needed for the body to actually reorganize and regroup. Anything which enhances the pace with beyond your control is reducing your lifespan. So the word pranayama simply means increase the gap in between the two breaths. Is that right? So increasing the gap in between two heartbeats, where instead of having 90 beats a minute, you're beating 70 beats a minute or 65 beats a minute, you're going to live longer because you're saving so many beats per minute. So anything, when you exercise, your heart rate becomes slower. When you sleep, heart rate becomes slower. Meditate, heart rate becomes slower. Your breath rate, respiratory rate, heart rate, even metabolic rate becomes slower. So all of these practices, I don't know what you know about Gandharva Veda, is listening to a flute or a sitar or something like that, is slowing it down. Anything that makes you jump out of the chair and dance and increase the heart rate, pulse rate, respiratory rate is going to enhance your aging process. So consciously slowing down is a good way. And the numerous ways that you can do to slow it down. I just gave you a few examples, I would say. Even few sips of a beverage, maybe a couple of sips of pomegranate juice or a couple of grapes that you put in your mouth, suddenly changes the energy of how you're feeling at a given moment.
Thank you, Dr. Suhas. Okay, Subhash, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Suhaj. Nice to see you again.
Thank you, Kaji.
This person that I know, he continuously, something causes continuous beep burping for her. And we tried all kinds of medical tests and they cannot identify what the problem is. And I was wondering if Ayurveda has a solution.
Well, again, means it's a medical situation somehow, and there are many questions which are sub-questions that the person, the age, the type, the profession, any medications that are interacting. So I'll be more than happy to sit with the given person, discuss more, or feel free to give me a call and find me easily to find me on internet. I'll be happy to type my website here, but I need to ask you questions. Generically, it is very closely related with acidic imbalances. The body has gotten very acidic and it is churning a lot of acidic regurgitation, which is irritating the phrenic nerve, which creates hiccups.
All right. Thank you.
Suni.
Thank you. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Suhas, I was wondering if you could mention the effects of high and low blood pressure. What does that have to do with health? And also, more of a personal question. In sleeping, I'm unable to sleep more than 2 hours before I have to wake up and go to the bathroom, and I can't seem to stop that. It seems like a habit, but the urge gets stronger and I can't go back to sleep unless I get up.
Well, both of them are problem. High blood pressure is also a problem. Super low blood pressure is a problem. Comparatively, high blood pressure has bigger problem than low blood pressure. So you would want to have a lower blood pressure ideally than higher blood pressure. So when I say higher blood pressure, so if it is something that you add your age and plus 100, you can be comfortable with somewhere close to that number. And the lower number has to be close to between 80 to 90, I would say. But if you are anywhere higher than that, then definitely it's a problem and you need to seek a medical help. If your lower blood pressure remains somewhere close to 100 by 70 or 90 by 60, and you're able to function and you're energetic throughout the day, it should not be a problem. Since you're able to fall asleep in the night, it's a good sign, but you might be having a little irritation in your bladder. So sometimes as you get old, something what we call it as interstitial cystitis, where the bladder gets very dry, the lining creates a low grade of inflammation, and that triggers a reflex which makes you feel as if you need to go and evacuate the bladder. So there are ways and means to treat that and help you with that. And there are other ways and means to actually deepen your sleep along with some of the calming herbs itself. So more than happy to talk to you and give you something that might improve the quality of sleep. As we get older, the ideal sleeping pan remains 4 to 6 hours to a decent quality of sleep. If you can get an hour extra on that, you should be lucky. But definitely you should be in bed 3 to 4 hours before you wake up for any urination in the night. Many times when you become a chronic meditator, when you are meditating a lot, when you are meditating an hour or two in the morning, hour or two in the evening, then the nature of the sleep becomes very, very sattvic and doesn't allow you to sleep and be in the state of tamasic state for very long. So you have already increased your sattva that allows you to probably wake up a little bit more often. But if you are waking up recurrently and you're feeling tired, that doesn't mean you have a sattvic sleep. If you're feeling tired because of lack of sleep, it is not due to the sattva that you're waking up in the night. It is definitely an imbalance that is waking you up.
So, okay, I can contact you for more specific things.
And I put my number in the chat box if people want to get hold of us and our services anytime.
Okay, would you repeat the age minus 100? Is that for the systolic?
That's for the systolic. So age plus your plus 100.
Age, plus 100. Oh, okay.
If you're 50 years of age, 150 up to that limit considered to be more or less normal. In spite of that is still considered to be high blood pressure, but it's not that problematic for being systolic. But the diastolic has to be between 80 to 90 ideally.
So 85 plus 100 is 185 systolic. That would be awfully high, wouldn't it?
It is high, but up to that limit, it is okay and it won't
acceptable. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Suni. iPhone, go ahead and unmute yourself.
So there's Kavita behind iPhone.
The distributor.
Hello. Oh, sorry. This is Ramya. This is probably, it's called iPhone. Because it is not me, it is iPhone. Dr. Suhas, can I have a question and a comment, if that's okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. The question is, Brahma Muhurta is at 4 a.m. I've been trying to get to Brahma Muhurta to wake up to meditate for a long time. I now for work I've been pushed back to 5 a.m., which is really nice but irritating. Um, why do you think the ancients picked this 4 a.m. thing with sleep? I know the biggest cardiac events happen between 2 and 4 a.m. So it's not a very good period of time. The biggest cardiorespiratory events in the hospital happen between 2 and 4. But the ancients believed 4 a.m. was great to wake up and meditate. How would you say you balance that, which we haven't proven scientifically to be helpful, with what we do see as adverse events during that same period of time? And number two, there's a ton of research on heart rate variability, and it's very important to have variability rather than just having a slow heart rate. And high heart rates are tolerated if you're doing cardiovascular exercise. So I just want to throw it out there.
Okay, so to answer your question,
Yeah.
4 a.m. is the Brahma Muhurta as described
Yeah.
in Vedic literature. And from an Ayurvedic perspective, evening 6 to 10 is the kapha time of the day, of the night. So 10 p.m. you should be asleep, ideally. Okay. 10 to 2 a.m. is the pitta time of the day, where the body is at most active in the night to carry out millions of functions that it cannot do during the day, whether it's lipid synthesis, immunomodulation, so many things that happen between 10 and 2. That's why you should be asleep and let the body do its job. From 2 a.m. to 6 a.m., that is the vata time of the night. And the peak time is at 4 a.m. Between 2 to 6, the peak time is at 4 o'clock. And that is when the sleep becomes naturally light. So it will be very easy for you to come to wake up around 4 o'clock in the night, because that is the peak of the vata time. And very easily that it will wake you up. And the biggest signal of the body at that time is intestinal motility, where your bowels start gurgling and moving around that time, which allows you, if you train yourself, you wake up and you will have a good bowel movement. And that's a good sign that you're waking up with the nature's call itself. But when you go close to 6 o'clock, then you're all bordering to the kapha time of the day in the morning from 6 to 10, then you want another pillow in between your legs and curl around and go back to sleep and things like that. And when you wake up, you're more likely to be cranky, irritable, grumpy, and tired, because you're waking up in the kapha time and you feel as if someone wake you up in the middle of sleep. So naturally, sleep becomes lighter at 4 o'clock. And ideally, the events that you're talking about, and I have compiled a lot of research for my previous book called as Change Your Schedule, Change Your Life. Those events are vata aggravation. Depression is at its worst. Cortisol peaks up around that time in the morning between 4 to 7. And so people who are dysregulated, that's where they create erraticity and those events that you're talking about, where they need to go to the hospital for those events. And number one time of the death where people die the most is around 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning itself. And depression is at its worst. So there's a chronobiological timing to all of that. The other thing is your heart acting erratic in spite of cardiovascular activity. So it is good that if you can keep the heart rate low, that's a good idea. If you have irregular heartbeat, you may want to correct certain electrolytes, certain imbalances. You want to create some breathing exercise to regulate that properly. You want to regulate your vagal tone by doing the right kind of vagus regulation. All of that would help. But if your heart rate is less than 70 beats a minute, and you skip beats few here and there, you should not be that worried about anything else. But you should make efforts to get complex electrolytes, which are coming from naturally occurring supplements, which are more easy for you to consume, and probably that will help, especially magnesium, that is correlated with naturally occurring potassium and sodium, I would say.
Okay, so it's okay to try to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, because the body will get used to it over time if you
It will
plan to
become more
meditate.
naturally effortless at that time.
Okay.
It will be naturally effortless around 4:30. So 4:30 would be the easiest time that you can easily wake up. Many people do wake up and the sleep becomes light that time. That is usually the dawn time, as we say, an hour or so before sunrise, which is ideal to wake up.
And that's not unhealthy.
I don't think it is unhealthy at all.
Okay, good to know. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Great question. Janhavi, go ahead, unmute yourself.
Hi, Dr. Suhas. Namaskar.
Okay.
Hi. So I apologize if someone's asked this already. I wasn't on the beginning, but I started intermittent fasting with actually a group from India called Sharon.org, and it seemed to be really helpful in cravings and whatnot. Doing like a 13 to 14 hour fast a day, and then I came across the millet guru, and everyone's talking about the microbiome. So now I'm adding that to the regimen, the ambli, the fermented millets in the morning. I was wondering if you could just talk a little bit about intermittent fasting and these fermented millets and fermented foods in general when it comes to Ayurveda. Thank you.
You mean to say intermittent fasting couple of days a week, or you're doing it every day that you're not eating for 14, 16 hours?
Every day, at least a 13-hour fast of not eating.
And that's not intermittent. That is a regular fasting that you're talking about. Okay. So intermittent fasting, many times people talk about that they they are fasting few days a week and then they're eating whatever they want to eat the other days a week. So that is very dangerous. That is very toxic, very unhealthy. So if you are fasting every day and not eating anything, say from 6 p.m. till 9 a.m. in the morning, it's perfectly healthy. It's a fasting.
Yeah.
It's giving rest to your body and your digestive system. So you are doing what we call it a solar nutrition. So you are eating between sunrise and sunset, and not to eat anything after sunset till sunrise. Ideally, that's a good thing.
Okay.
Fasting upregulates so many genes that will make you live longer, healthier, happier, everything. There's nothing more beneficial in the body than fasting. Upavasa brings you more close to your greater self. It is one of the best way to find your divinity, I would say, because it improves your willpower, it improves your control, all of that. So fasting in general, it's one of the most underutilized medical healing modality, I would say. So I'm happy for you, proud of you. Regarding millet, it's an excellent grain. It's an excellent grain. It's a drier grain, doesn't have a lot of moisture, doesn't have a lot of kapha aggravation that most of the grains do. So it doesn't make you dull, heavy, groggy, and toxic and tired like wheat and rice and some other things do sometimes. So millet is a dry grain. Whenever you ferment anything, it improves its digestibility because it cultivates and improves the microbiome regulation in our body. Ayurveda talks about fermented foods a lot, fermented medicines a lot, having a regular dose of buttermilk, having some cooked versions of different types of pickles is really, really healthy. So we do understand, and I think Ayurveda was one of the most ancient science that talks about that you have more diverse nature of microbiome in the gut, and that will regulate the state of your mind. So even before we heard these terms, the brain gut connection, Ayurveda has been talking about your gut health and your brain health for a long time. We talk about your samana, your apana, your prana, which all hinges in your gut itself. So the connection between the agni, ama, and prana and your immunity is so clearly described in Ayurveda. So the only challenge is when you eat a fermented food in the kapha time of the day as breakfast, you want to make sure that you're eating it in small portion. You're not eating it super cold. You have ways and means to warm those foods up in some way. And if you're eating a warm cereal with a fermented millet or something, that is not bad. But any other time of the day for lunch or dinner, it's not a bad idea to have fermented foods.
Thank you.
All the batters that we prepare from soaking lentils like dosa or idli, those are all fermented foods and they have a very healthy feeling in your gut, creates a happy feeling in your gut.
Oh, well, I don't see any more questions. So, Dr. Suhas, before we leave, I want to ask if you can provide any insight on this one statement one of our Swamis has said. Swami Swahananji, before Swami Sarvadevananda, was in our Vedanta site of Southern California for many long times. And he said one statement that I'd like, if you can give it some enlightenment on. He said, before you go to sleep, if you do your japa, chant your mantra, as you go to sleep, that will carry on, the effects of that will be carrying on until the sleep is broken. In other words, you say like, it's like getting the benefits of doing your japa as if you're awake until that sleep is broken. Can you explain that a little bit more if you believe that?
And that is exactly what I mean to say here, because that japa is the repetition. Okay. So japa is a mantra which allows you to create space in your mind and body in between your thoughts. And that japa and that mantra and the vibration of that sound allows you to slow down and consciously go to the depth of everything. Because mantra is often, we know, is like a vehicle which allows you to go to the depth. It allows you to transcend more easily. And with a regular practice, if you're saying a sound, if you're using a mantra, it allows you to transcend very, very easily. It's like dropping a pebble. You start it and it goes to the bottom very easily because of conscious practice. So the repetition, the chant, the mantric quality, the vibratory essence of that sound allows you to create more space in between your thoughts and transcend the futility of those thoughts. So it becomes in synchronicity with your breath. So as you repeat the japa, it becomes synced with your breath. With every inspiration, every inhalation and exhalation, that mantra, the sound, vibration starts going in. And especially when you cultivate this habit, it allows all night long at a subconscious level. Even consciously you're sleeping, but subconsciously you're aligning and training your internal rhythms and vibrations with everything else. The subject-object split that we talk about, the difference between the drashta and the drishya, the seer and the seen slowly start merging and submerging because of that practice. And that's the very premise of this book, of dissolution of the form and phenomenon of Prakriti with the formless quality of Purusha. And it gives you dual benefit. It gives you physical rest to your body because of deeper, good quality sleep. And it creates an awakening experience because you went to sleep in a state of meditation. And in fact, you woke up in a meditative state. So it is a phenomenal advice. So I think I'm in absolutely awe with Swamiji, who talks about these experiences. And in science, we are barely decoding this in a state of hypnagogia. They are talking about that what is the spiritual experience, and still science doesn't catch up with this yet. And that's the very reason why we are writing this book, why we are bringing this awareness. And every one of us, no matter how busy we are, we'll find time to sleep. And why can't we make our sleep more purposeful, more awakened, more enlightened, I would say.
No. I really appreciate this talk, Dr. Suhas, and your wonderful answers to the questions. I'll invite you. We can talk about that. Maybe we can do another series regarding awakened sleep. It sounds like it's a necessity in our lives that we take for granted. So I appreciate everything that you've given to us today, and I thank you everyone for giving us these beautiful questions. So, Dr. Suhas, I'll invite you then to just do a closing chant from the Ayurvedic tradition.
Ya kundendu tusharahar dhavala, ya shubhra vastravrata, ya veena vardanda manditakara, ya shveta padmasana, ya brahmachuta shankara prabhutibhir, devai sada vandita, sa mam patu saraswati bhagavati, nishesha jadyapaha. Hari Om, Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namaste.